faithfully conveying value, interpreting global good books.
Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk.
Today, the book we're interpreting for you is The Lover by French author Marguerite Duras. For many people, the name Duras seems to be associated with the lover. This novel, upon its publication in 1984, received enthusiastic responses. Duras herself also won the French Prix Goncourt that year. Later, the famous French director Jean Anouilh adapted it into a film of the same name, with Chinese actor Tony Leung playing the lead role, giving The Lover wider recognition. In China, The Lover has influenced many writers. Wan Xiaobo once said, "I've liked quite a few novels, but none of them mean as much to me as The Lover. Why is The Lover so highly regarded? Where exactly lies the value of this novel?" And Xiaobo, next, I'll first outline the story, then we'll explore the novel from perspectives like truth and fiction, time, and love. The Lover uses the first person, narrated in the voice of a 15-year-old French girl who is studying at a public boarding school in Saigon, Vietnam. And at the end of a vacation, while the girl was crossing the Mekong River by ferry on her way back to school in Saigon, from her home in Saidek, she encountered a wealthy Chinese man. The man was sitting in a black car, but he was attracted to the girl standing by the boat, who was dressed unusually. And at the time, the girl was wearing her mother's old dress, which didn't fit well, so she had tied her brother's belt around it and was wearing a man's flat-brimmed hat. The man took the initiative to approach her, asking if he could take her home after disembarking, and the girl agreed. From then on, this Chinese man began to date the girl. The girl proudly stated, "From now on, I won't need to ride in locals' cars anymore." The man was very wealthy. He took the girl to dine at the most exclusive places. The girl gradually opened up, talking to the man about everyday matters, complaining about her family, and expressing complex emotions like hatred, fear, and pity towards her family members. The man also introduced himself, saying he was an only child, had lived in Paris, his biological mother had passed away, leaving only his father, who was very wealthy. They lived in a riverside mansion. He was a major landowner in the Sadek area near Saigon. Later one day, the man picked up the girl from school, and they went by car to a house in Sholong, which was the man's own house, where they first became intimate. But when the girl brought up introducing the man to her family, he just wanted to bolt. Right then, she knew he couldn't stand up to his dad and marry her. He just couldn't beat his fear of his father and destiny, couldn't muster up the courage for love. So he was always crying. The book says, "His bravery came from me, his weakness was his father's money." At the start, she was seeing him secretly, but when her family found out, he ended up meeting them anyway. She asked him to take her family out to a fancy Chinese restaurant they'd never been to. It wasn't just about showing off to her family. It was also about defiance. Then, after meeting her daughter's lover, the mom suddenly went crazy.
She locked her in the room, punched and slapped her, stripped her naked, claiming she smelled the Chinese man's cologne.
Then she shrieked, calling her daughter a whore, saying she'd throw her out, watch her die, and no one would want her.
She said she lost all shame, was lower than a dog.
But quick, maybe cause of money troubles, the mom came around and didn't stop them. Then the girl went to his place in Sholon more often, even stayed over some nights, skipping school. He was scared to get caught and he'd end up in jail.
But the girl reassured him calmly.
She said, "Mom's dirt poor, she won't press charges." She knew that to her mom, next to the misery of poverty, her fling with the lover meant zilch. Heck, he might even help the family out big time. Sure thing, when the school caught her not coming back at night and told her mom actually asked the principal to let her have free nights, no curfew. She excused it, saying the girl was a free spirit, and because they were white, the principal actually went along with it. But was this romance going to work out? One time, the black car showed up with just the driver. He said the man's dad was sick, so he'd gone back to Sadek. Just the driver was left in Saigon to shuttle her around. A few days later, when he came back to Saigon and saw her, he kissed her through tears, saying his dad didn't die, but his dream of marrying her was totally gone. Soon, both their futures were clear. The girl was leaving Saigon for France, while the man was to marry the bride his family arranged. In their final days together, they indulged freely and frequently without restraint. The girl said, "Every evening I'd see him waiting in his black car outside school. All shame had vanished. When the ship finally departed, the girl was aboard while the man sat in his car on the shore." The novel describes him as barely visible, motionless, utterly dejected. Her arm rested on the ship's railing, just like their first meeting on the ferry. She knew he was watching her while she watched him. She saw the black car speed away until it disappeared. Then the port vanished too. Then the land disappeared, and so they vanished from each other's lives. Years later, after the girl had married and had children multiple times, the man came to Paris with his wife. He called his former lover, saying he still loved her, that he couldn't stop loving her, and would love her till death. Fucked up. This is the story of the 15-year-old girl and her lover. Given Duras's colorful romantic life, her previous works focus on eroticism, and the film's explicit love scenes, many readers assume passion is the novel's central theme. But examining Duras's life and the novel's background reveals its message extends far beyond physical desire. Born in 1914, Duras was nearly 70 when writing this novel, reaching far back in time. Recalling her Saigon family life over 50 years prior, Duras was born in 1914 in Saigon, Vietnam, the novel's very setting. Both parents taught locally. Her father died tragically in 1918, leaving near destitute Duras, two brothers, and their mother. In 1924, the family moved to Sa Dec, then to a Mekong River village called Vinh Long. Duras lived like an Asian child, speaking fluent Vietnam. It wasn't until 1932, at 18, that Duras returned to France. In the novel, the girl's parents came to Vietnam under French colonial policy. Equally poor, they were at the bottom of white colonizers, their only difference from local poor being skin color. The novel begins with a family photo showing the mother's disheveled appearance, reflecting the family's financial hardship. Her face was stern, clothes messy, expression vacant, clearly suffering from the heat, exhausted and irritable. Mother had borrowed money to invest in coastal land, but seawater flooding ruined it. She lost money while father was dying. So mother became disheartened, nearly hopeless. After father's death, mother barely supported the girl and her two brothers. The younger brother studied accounting half-heartedly, changing schools constantly, taking 10 years to become a minor accountant in Saigon. And a minor accountant. Mother favored the eldest brother most, sending him to French engineering school. But actually he never enrolled, ending up a layabout who stole money for opium. Yet mother still considered him the smartest son, spoiling him even when deceived. For the girl, mother constantly hoped she'd quickly pass teacher certification after high school, become a teacher early, and support the family, especially the eldest brother. But the girl repeatedly declared she wanted to write, to become a writer, to which mother coldly replied, "Whatever. After you get your teaching certificate." Undoubtedly, the girl deeply resented her mother. This oppressive, poor family atmosphere became the backdrop for her fleeing home into her Chinese lover's arms. Both brothers met tragic ends. The useless eldest became a scoundrel in old age, still gambling and deceiving mother, nearly driving her mad. Finally, destitute, he owned nothing but the clothes on his back. He died alone and penniless in his home. The younger brother died of bronchitis in 1942. In 1949, mother returned to France, living in a fake Louis XIV castle in Rumar Hill province before dying there. In first-person narration, the girl voices resentment and pity toward mother, disgust and hatred for eldest brother, and unique love for the equally neglected younger brother, even feeling they were one. These confessions align with the life Duras herself lived in Vietnam. The first 18 years match perfectly. Family tragedies and all she witnessed became an inexhaustible source for her later writing. And the sweltering, chaotic colony, the shifting, impoverished household, the enduring, paranoid mother, the dissolute eldest brother, the affectionate but lonely younger brother, all form the story's backdrop. Thus, she portrays a desperate love between a poor French girl in Vietnam and a wealthy Chinese heir. That's why many view The Lover as autobiographical. Shortly after publication, Duras declared its documentary nature on television. She said, "This is my first nonfiction. All my previous books were fiction." She claimed everything in The Lover was true. The outfits, mother's rage, bland home meals, the Chinese lover's luxury car. So is The Lover truly an autobiography? Revisiting the narrative reveals significant deviations from facts. Duras simultaneously stressed authenticity while highlighting fictional elements. For example, she publicly stated elsewhere, "The Lover is a novel, and novels mean fiction." Why would she say that? Analyzing her different lover figures shows they appear in at least 5 texts, each version evolving. The first was Leo and War Notes and other early texts. Written in the 1940s but unpublished until 2006. Leo was a short Vietnamese man with a huge diamond ring, driving luxury cars. The girl loved the opulence but felt nauseated when kissed, spitting afterward. In The Seawall, 1950, and Eden Cinema, 1979, Leo became Mr. Joe, a repulsive figure mocked by brothers. The girl liked his gifts but refused kisses. Mr. Joe was infatuated, but the girl only loved the diamond ring. Their story ended unresolved.
Then came the 1984 Lover.
Mr. Joe transformed into the son of a Chinese tycoon from Sadek, originally from Fushan, with a new black limousine. The elegant man arrived late. He fell for the girl at first sight, and she accepted him. At first she thought it was for money, to escape her hurtful family, but then discovered hidden love turned a transaction into profound romance. Like the story's ending said, he loved her and would love her till death. Now the lover transformed, no longer ugly, I wouldn't spit anymore. In 1991's The Lover from North China, the lover became bolder, more handsome, healthier. A patriotic overseas Chinese returnee charmed the mother, intimidated the brother, becoming an irresistible lover. They began dazzling love, never ended, never forgotten, as the novel says. Across texts, Duras evolved the lover from repulsive to elegant, transmuting greed into bittersweet romance, still fictionalizing him at 78 when Jean-Jacques Anou's film released in 1992. She claimed tenderly, her lover was named Hong Shui, far handsomer than the film's version, and very gentle. The real lover? Hong Shui's former residence in Sadek displays photos of Duras's oriental lover. The man in photos isn't attractive. Against historical facts, Duras's texts grew more accurate about her family's humiliating life in Indochina. Truth emerged clearer. She recalled with increasing frankness the seawall's ruinous failure, mother's despair, eldest brother's cruelty, and her bond with younger brother. As family died and her fame rose, she finally claimed the right to tell her story autobiographically. From birth to her mother and brother's deaths, she relentlessly recounted the family's oppression. In unpublished writings, Duras confessed, "I never told anyone anything. About my life, my rage, this flesh racing toward ecstasy, I said nothing. About this word hidden in darkness, I am the greatest silence of shame." While family recollections grew more truthful, the novel's portrayal of the lover and their relationship increasingly diverged from historical reality. The lover is essentially an ideal myth crafted by the author, a true fiction. This is why Duras stressed that The Lover is fundamentally a novel. Reportedly inspired by a photo book compiled by Duras's son Jean Mascolo, Absolute Image. In that album, a fairy photo suddenly reminded her of meeting her Chinese lover 50 years prior. Memories flooded back. Fragmented memories in Duras's mind pieced themselves together at that instant. Duras wrote extensive notes for it, over 80 pages, extending into her later years. Her lover, Jan Andrea, suggested extracting these texts, ultimately giving us the lover. By then, Duras was nearly 70. In her twilight years, she couldn't bear her lover being remembered as ugly. Even if historically accurate, she couldn't accept her first love being motivated by money. Elderly Duras returned to girlhood longing for a handsome Chinese lover to soothe her beyond her scarred family. This truth wasn't factual but emotional, romanticizing first love by erasing reality. Duras said, "The more I wrote, the less I existed. Readers got crafted fictions, not my real life." Real family life and fictional romance merged. The mystical Mekong, gentle lover, oppressive household, and colonial legends. After 50 years, Indochina's details erupted uncontrollably. Duras stopped hiding her youth's darkness. No more suppressing that hysterical resentment towards mom and bro, nor the burning passion for love still inside. With all that surging emotion, Duras whipped up the lover in just 3 months flat. But behind those 3 months was a whole 50-year stretch. It was exactly that long passage of time, the magic of time, crafted Duras's love myth and the novel's unique vibe. Looking back, Duras nailed time's meaning. Ecstatic physical love fades in a flash, but emotion needs distance and thought over 50 years. Physical love morphed into emotional love, time-forged love, and love fought back against time. Right from the lover's start, the author spun herself a myth of love battling time. Even without reading The Lover, lots of folks know that classic opening by heart. I'm old now. One day, in a public hall, a man walked up to me and introduced himself. He told me, "I know you. I'll always remember you. Back then you were young, and everyone said you were gorgeous. Now I've come all this way to tell you, to me, I think you're way more beautiful now than when you were young. Back then, you were a young woman, but I love your ravaged face now more than your face back then." This bit's like Duras, crafting a classic myth for herself and women past their prime. Love can beat the body, beat time. Love is forever. But even Duras herself wouldn't buy into that myth. Then she cruelly popped that bubble. Too late. Too late. In my life, this came way too early and way too fast. Next, the author went on a rant about aging. I watched age creep up on my face, bit by bit, eating away at it. My face, all its parts changed. It's been ripped to shreds by deep, dry wrinkles. The skin's all busted up. It doesn't just fade away like some delicate, fine beauty does. Its old shape is still there, but the core's wrecked. My looks are wrecked. This take on aging is so mind-blowing. In literary history, it's a stunner, peering at the narrator's ruined old mug in the mirror, and from there, gazing back at the young face that lived that love story. This shows the lover is an old soul weathered by time, enduring cruel aging while reorganizing memories from over 50 years ago. In this contrast and interplay, time seems to lose meaning. The elderly voice reveals self-pity and self-indulgence. Looking back at her youth from old age is like moving from low to high ground, from darkness to light. Through first-person narration, memories from the 70-year-old's mind wash over us like relentless tides. Laments about time's passage permeate the entire work. The Lover is precisely the author's nostalgic yearning for youth amid aging. Within the dual perspectives of young and old me, enduring love and family resentment merge like rare bright spots in chaos. And, as Juan Chabot noted, the book's brilliance lies in capturing life's rhythm. Early poverty and later heavy smoking and drinking wrecked Duras's health, making her feel prematurely old. Writing The Lover at 70, time had ravaged her face. For a woman who pursued love and physical pleasure her whole life, this was brutally cruel. In this state, Duras reminisced about her youth's romance with profound emotion. This elegiac perspective forms a crucial thematic core. Love transcending time. This time-infused melancholy made The Lover an instant sensation upon release. After its 1984 French release, daily sales hit 10,000 copies. Today, Global sales exceed tens of millions. French publisher Jérôme Lindon stated, "The Lover is among few contemporary French books with global impact, and the Goncourt Prize is top seller." In China, boosted by film adaptation and Wang Xiaobo's advocacy, The Lover gained massive popularity with 6 Chinese translations. Professor Huang Hong from Nanjing University's French department noted that Duras is the post-WWE French author with the most complete Chinese translations of her works. And in 1985, Chinese translator Wang Daoqian first published its translation. China was undergoing massive changes then. The novel's despairing intimacy, wordless farewells, and love-turned loneliness felt revolutionary. Its theme of liberating desire from morality into eternal love resonated deeply during ideological emancipation. Of course, there's also Duras's exquisitely moving prose. A gravely ill Duras in France once gave a TV interview. Her face aged. Oxygen tube assisting her labored breaths as she recounted her romance with a Chinese youth. Profoundly touching. Duras spoke with intoxication and melancholy, though it jarred with her withered appearance. Yet that same story and emotion become palatable in literature, because words grant imaginative space and evolutionary process, especially when penned by a masterful female writer. In the novel, Duras effortlessly shatters norms, weaving between reality and fiction with literary grace. The mutual resentment yet unbreakable bond with mother and brother, the mystical connection to sweltering Indochina, all merge into the novel's unforgettable dreamscape. Let's read a passage. That girl in a mud-stained hat, standing alone on the ferry deck, elbow on railing, amidst glimmering muddy waters, the pale red masculine hat became the landscape's sole color. Duras intersperses extensive landscape descriptions in The Lover, feeling time's erosion through exotic vistas. For example, river water surged violently along the ferry sides, cutting through stagnant rice paddies, never mingling with the paddies' still waters. Flowing from Cambodia's Tonle Sap Lake and forests, it swept away everything encountered, even time itself, into unfathomable depths. Dizzying whirlpools swept everything away, yet everything still floated on the river's forceful surface. The novel uses montage techniques. Duras's prose shifts between scenes like camera lenses. After my first intimacy with the Chinese lover, Duras inserts an extended apartment scene. The city felt like a train, this room like being aboard. Windows without glass, only curtains and blinds. Through curtains, silhouettes moved in sunlight. Besting pedestrians cast striped shadows by blinds. Wooden clogs clacked painfully, screeching sounds. Chinese sounded like shouting, reminding me of desert languages, unimaginably strange. Entering a Chinese restaurant with my lover, the sounds from these buildings were unimaginable in Europe. Waiters shouting orders, kitchen responses, conversation was impossible here. On the terrace, a Chinese band played music. We ascended to the Westerners section, same menu but quieter, with fans and soundproof drapes. Thus, this intensely stylistic work became a global phenomenon, the Duras effect. The Lover's global fame also connects to its era, published in 1980s, when conservative politics resurged in the West. Economically, Thatcher promoted interventionist neoconservatism. Socially, feminist movements faced backlash. In response, the third wave feminism emerged globally. This wave addressed multiracial, multicultural, multisexual issues, deconstructing gender roles and biases, themes central to The Lover. Duras dissolved the white or yellow racial hierarchy. In the novel, the white girl is poor and struggling, while the Asian man is wealthy and charming. In their relationship, the white girl isn't just watched, she observes men in her own way. She's mature and decisive, while the man is timid and cowardly. Even in intimacy, she often takes the lead. Thus, Duras was among the first writers to creatively respond to the global feminist movement. Against this backdrop, The Lover became a hot topic in intellectual circles. Admittedly, interpretations of perspectives of Lover have long varied widely, yet only Duras herself could fully express those half-century emotions she meant to convey. Not just because that youthful memory of an exotic lover is something most never experience. More importantly, it was an elderly woman unleashing emotions still burning within her. Duras passed over 20 years ago, yet her work still voices life's struggles against time, reflects on love and death's ancient myths. Her beautiful prose takes us on an immersive journey through attachment and separation, oppression and freedom, time and love, etching these eternal themes deeper into our lives. All right, that concludes our interpretation of Duras's The Lover. Notes are below the audio. See you next time.